All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And welcome to our Black History Month Developer Hacky Hour. So this is our inaugural Developer Hacky Hour. So thank you all so much for coming. We have one or two people still getting connected, but that's all right. We have plenty of time. So I'm going to go ahead and get started for all of you. So I'm going to just do a few pieces of housekeeping, a little intro, and then we will get to our Hacky Hour demos. So first of all, you can access all of the slides for tonight's Hacky Hour, as well as our advocacy event that we had yesterday. You can access those slides at ibm.biz/BHM22-slides. The live stream is also being recorded. So you can access the recording directly once the live stream ends. The recording will be made available to you. So regardless of where you're joining from, you can access that recording and share it with anyone you think might be interested at crowdcast.io/e/BHM22-2. So if you join at the link today or yesterday, it'll take you to the same place. The series has both of the recordings there. And if you're interested in following along with any of the demos or working on any of the tutorials following the demos, you can do that by signing up for an IBM Cloud account at ibm.biz/BHM22-Hacky. And so for any of you who would like to share as well, feel free to share in the chat your name and pronouns if you would like, your title, company, or maybe you're currently studying in some type of program, where you're from, or maybe where you're joining from. While some of us are still working from home or quarantining, something you love, and then a quirk, so something that's uniquely weird or different about you. So to get started, I'll go first. My name is Jenna. My pronouns are she, her. I am a developer advocate at IBM. Excuse me. I am originally from Detroit. I am currently joining from Austin, Texas, down here for a little bit to get out of the snow. uh, something I love. So something I love is actually relevant to our hacky hour today. I love a really great tutorial. I love a really great tutorial that has every detail in the technical documentation down to what version manager am I installing, links to install everything, videos. I love a great sample application in the repo so I can just clone it and get everything spun up quickly. And a quirk about me, if you've come to any of my events in the past, I love tuna. I have an obsession with tuna, is more accurate. Tuna salad sandwiches and tuna melts. So if you have any recommendations, please feel free to send them to me at jwritten on any of the social platforms. I'm always looking to find a new place to try and try to one up my favorite places. If you need to contact with me later, you can also do that at my Linktree, Linktree/jwritten. So I'm going to pass things over to Evan so he can introduce himself. He's going to be on standby for support this evening, and feel free to reach out to him afterward with questions too.
Hey, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon, this evening, or this morning, depending on where you're joining from. As Jenna mentioned, I'm Evan Blash, or Blache if you're bougie and from New Orleans. I'm a developer advocate, a federated developer advocate. I've been with IBM for a little bit over 10 years. I am currently working in the cybersecurity space, but I have a few technical bones in my body, so love to flex when it comes to technology, developer advocacy, and just being an advocate overall. A couple of quirky things about me. As I mentioned, originally from New Orleans. I'm not a big guy. I'm not like super fast or I'm not super athletic, but I talk a lot of trash. Love talking trash. Not in a bad way, we're definitely gonna work on those shots on the football field, or I mean on the basketball court, on the football field. But I love talking trash. You just wouldn't know that I wasn't athletically inclined after you see me play or after you hear that trash talking. Anyway, enough about me. I will go ahead and pass the mic.
Jordan, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself too.
Um, yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Garza, and I work on IBM Cloud as a software developer. And on my private time, I like doing cybersecurity work, and I do a lot of technical aspect in cybersecurity. So that's more in exploit development and reverse engineering. Um, Sometimes in my free time, I like going and doing scuba diving. So that's kind of one of my interesting sports. Um, right now, I'm located in Austin, Texas, and I'm having fun down here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. And Open Mifo, I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself too, if you'd like.
Sure. So my name is Okoyufor. I'm just 16. IBM champion for 2020 and also Jamstack Lagos lead. So what I do is, okay, I'm passionate about Jamstack. I'm passionate about JavaScript. I'm passionate about IBM Watson, and I love building stuffs on these platforms or technologies. So really what I do basically is developer advocacy. I love getting people into technology, and yes, there is nothing just much about myself. You can reach out to me on all social media platforms at Coda of Lagos, on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, so I'm really active on those platforms. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're all here. Uh, it's a bit late where OpenMeepo is actually. It's pretty late. He's over in Lagos. So thank you so much for joining. Yes, OpenMeepo is one of our IBM champions from 2020. He's only 16 years old, and he's been developing and working in developer advocacy for a little while now. So we're so glad that he can be here. So I'm not going to spend too much time, but I want to do an intro, give you all reference and access to resources. All of these are in the slides, of course. So these are just some recommendations for getting started with IBM Cloud and getting into more advanced work as well. So if you're interested in cloud native development, all things hybrid cloud, getting comfortable with application development with IBM Cloud, these are some great certifications. And also, if you're looking to get started with Docker and really flex your muscles in the Knative space, you can do that with the Docker Essentials badge as well. These are all 100% free to you to use and learn and earn badges from. And it's a great way to show your skills on your LinkedIn and your social profiles by showing the badges that you'll earn. Another thing I wanted to mention is our IBM Be Equal allyship resources and community. So you can access all of our Be Equal resources at the link in the slides as well. I'll be sharing in the chat as well. So be able, it'll provide an opportunity for you to not only learn more about different diverse communities, but how you can get active and be an amplifier for work in the diversity, equity, and inclusion spaces and support underserved communities, not just in the tech space, but in all spaces. So let's go ahead and get started. So I just want to touch on a few things so we can highlight some of our advocates today. So I am a developer advocate. So what that means is my full-time role is to represent the company's value and missions, teach the tech community, all of you, about different technical topics like Knative and Kubernetes and Docker and all of these serverless, all these things, create easy to understand technical content, and enable all of you to use technical products and IBM products through documentation, tutorials, workshops, hackathons, all of the things that we're able to do where we can one-on-one or one-to-many support you all. And a lot of times an advocate is the first point of contact with the tech community for your company. So a lot of times I'm the first stop for somebody who's just learning about IBM as a company. Which is really a really neat opportunity for me. So what is a federated advocate? So Jordan is what we would consider a federated advocate. So that's an employee whose full-time role is not advocacy. So Jordan works full-time on a team as a software engineer. He works at the same company as the products that he works with. And he's supporting different IBM products through acts of advocacy, such as demoing and doing workshops and talking about technical topics. Federated advocates also have opportunities to support and run their own events and have support from other developer advocates like myself. And we also, Evan is a federated advocate that's been in the space since the inception of our Austin team. And it's a great space if you want to transition into a more technical role and really show off your skills. So that's something that Evan's been doing the last year. He's our Kubernetes champion at this point. And speaking of champions, what are champions programs? So OpenMeepo is actually, as I mentioned, one of our IBM champions from 2020. So a champion is someone who's a non-employee. They don't work at your company, but they're interested in contributing to your company, possibly even working there. They support product teams, like OpenMeepo is supporting our IBM Watson Assistant team through an active advocacy of demoing products, showing how to build and use and get familiar with Watson Assistant, which is what he's going to show you today. So it's also spreading your company's values and mission through work in the tech space. So speaking at our Hacky Hour, he can then go speak at other conferences and workshops about Watson Assistant and the work that he's done, and build his career brand and his professional career using what he's learned and what he's built. So just quickly about the IBM Champions program, I'll be sharing a link in the chat as well. It's also in the slides. If you are interested, they do an annual enrollment process. So during the year, what you will do as a champion is similar to what OpenMapo is doing and has done in the past, sharing knowledge and expertise, evangelizing and advocating for IBM, helping build our IBM developer community, sharing open source and technical contributions. And there's also a piece as well where, as an IBM champion, you can give feedback on IBM offerings and services and help provide feedback to gauge direction. Maybe there's a feature or something that you'd like to see, or and ideas you have for making products better. So that's all from me. Jordan is actually going to get started here first, and he's going to talk to you about VPC, which is just short for Virtual Private Cloud.
Yeah, thank you, Jenna. So with VPC, basically it's a private cloud that you would have instead of having infrastructure in your premises, and you would like it to be on the cloud but still be in a private and isolated environment from other resources and other networks, and you still get control over your data and all of your infrastructure on the IBM cloud. And so if for some reason you're coming from a different public cloud and you're trying to understand VPC on IBM cloud, this would be the topic for you. For people who don't know about VPC, I'll give an overview of this diagram. So basically on IBM cloud, you can see we have the cloud as a whole, and we have regions in different locations. So you would have a region in East Coast, West Coast, and even in Central. And in each of the regions, you can create a VPC, and that would be your virtual private cloud where you have your environment set up. And in each of those regions, we have zones. So in each of the regions, you could have two or three zones, depending on what you want to do, but you could also run your application in a single zone. Looking at this diagram, we're just going to talk with few things. So the things that probably you need to be aware of is subnet, the zone, VPC, and a region. You can have multiple VPCs in a region. You could have multiple subnets in one zone. And so this diagram, to simplify it, we look at the VSI, that's the virtual service instance, that's your VM. And then you can see we have a security group, that's where you would set your roles. But for the demonstration purposes, we are going to stick with subnet, VSI, floating IP address to make this demo pretty easy. Now I guess I could demonstrate how you would set up VPC on IBM Cloud. Let me share my screen. Okay. So this, when you log into IBM Cloud and you want to get started, you would go to catalog. Once you open the catalog, you'll see different IBM services, of which you could select whatever service you want and go ahead and use it. But for our case, we're going to be using VPC. So you go to your left corner, and then you would select the VPC infrastructure. So once you're on this page, you should be able to create your virtual private cloud VPCs as many as you want. And in this example, I'm going to create one in Dallas, located in Dallas, and we're going to create VSI, and I'm going to show you how you would have that all set up. So I'll get started with creating a VPC. So yeah, you select what region you would like to use. You give your VPC a name, let's say demo VPC, and then you would select a resource group. So in IBM, we have this concept of resource groups where you would assign specific permissions to resources, and people would be able to access those resources in that group. So you select a group, and you could add tags. Let's say tags. You could add as many tags as you want on your resource. And then we're just going to select create. So pretty much you give a name to your VPC, select the resources, you have the region selected where you're going to create your VPC, and pretty much that's all you need. And you could add subnets, but for these purposes, we're just going to leave the default. So there's a defaulting to 3 different zones in Dallas, and that's one of the regions. And so once you have this done, you're just going to create a VPC. So now we could see here I have the demo VPC created with 3 subnets and in the resource group default. And then what we want to do is now we want to create a VSI, basically a virtual machine inside your VPC. That's what we're going to do next. So you'd go to virtual server instances. That's basically your VM. So once you click that, we shall go ahead and create one. And now this VM that you're going to be creating, you specify again the region, the zone. Since we're in Dallas, so we can specify, we have 3 zones that we could specify. In this case, I'm going to use Dallas 2, but you could easily specify a different one. You could specify Dallas 1, Dallas 3, and this would put you in those different zones where you want your VPC to be deployed. But in this case, I'll go with Dallas 2. And then you give your VPC a name, your VSI a name. So we shall do and then again, I'll keep the resource group as default. You specify the tags you want. You could specify as many as you'd like. You select either it's dedicated or multi-tenant. So basically this would mean your own, no other infrastructure, no other person would get the same resources that you're going to be using. So basically you won't be sharing resources with other clients. But the multi-tenant, basically it's public and you should be able to have resources being shared. So you would go with the public. In this case, we're going to use the public. And now you select the images that you want to use. So here's where you can select from different images, VM operating systems you want to use. in this demo, we're going to use Ubuntu. You can specify also the version 18 or 20. We shall go with the 20. Again, you have a choice to select different flavors profiles. So you could open this and select different flavors. It depends on what you want and what your application needs. And so you can see we have a lot of different flavors to select from. So we could select from different categories, compute and all that. And this basically gives you the ability to size it according to your specific application. So for this demo, we shall do the minimum. So that will be 2 CPUs and 8 gigs of RAM. And so you can say you have the 2 CPUs, 8 gigs of RAM. And then you can create SSH key. Basically, since I have to select an SSH key from this list, this SSH key will be used when you try to log in to your VSI, your VM. So in this case, I will go ahead and create one since I don't have, initially you come in, you don't have any SSH key. You would create an SSH key. We shall give it a name. Resource group, still we keep it default, and then we can add tags. And this SSH key will be in the Dallas region, and then you would paste your public key. So in this case, let's get public key. So I'll paste in my public key, and then I will go ahead and create the new SSH key. And this key would be added in your VM, your VSI. Okay, so yeah, for getting started, you could leave pretty much everything here default. You could just go with the default. You could attach your own volumes, but in this case, we're not going to do that. And then now you can see here, it's asking us which VPC we want to use. So if we did not have any VPC, we'd go ahead and create one. But in this case, since we already have one, we're just going to find it here and then select it. And then you should see it should pop up with the subnet and then you can see it to the right here, we have estimates of how much it would cost. So you can see it's pretty much relatively cheap to run a VPC instead of deploying Kubernetes cluster. So this would be a great way if you want to test out applications on the cloud. So we just go ahead and do a create. And you can see right now it's creating the virtual service instance. And this should not take a long time. So in the meanwhile, while this is being created, remember we have to be able to access this machine from wherever we are. But right now we have only private IP address assigned to this machine. So we need to get a floating IP address. In that way, we should be able to access our machine from anywhere. So we shall go ahead and create a floating IP address in order to assign it to this machine. So while this is coming up, we shall go down here. We shall select floating IP address, floating IPs, and then we're going to create a new one. We're going to reserve a new one. Then we're going to give this a name. And again, you specify the tags. You specify the tags you want, the resource group, and the location of this floating IP address, because different locations will have different IP addresses to assign. Then you have to assign this IP address to your instance that you just created. We're going to select the demo VSI1 because that's the instance that we created. And then you would have a network interface associated with your VM. If we had multiple instances, multiple interfaces, you would be able to select different interfaces from this place. But now we have only one, and this would cost about $1 a month. And so it's also relatively cheap. And then you would reserve this. So as you can see here, we have the demo floating IP1. We have it assigned to the demo VSI1. And if we go back to the VSI instance, it should show as unassigned IP address here. So right now our machine is up and running. Now we just need to access it. So basically you would copy this, and then we could try and see if it's up and running. Okay, it seems to be up and running. And now the only thing we need to do now is just be able to access it. And so we shall do so to access your machine, you have your public key and you'd have your private key. So I'm going to use my private key to access this machine. And then you specify the floating IP address that you assigned. And now we're in our machine, as you can see. Now basically we can deploy our applications, and so at this point you have a VM running on IBM Cloud in your specific VPC, your own infrastructure. And now you can go ahead and do all the same things you would do if you're on your own premises. So yeah, this is about VPC on IBM Cloud. So if you're coming from AWS and you're like trying to figure out how you would do this on IBM Cloud, this is how you would easily do that. The other thing probably you might want to do sometimes, or mostly, if you're doing networking, you would want to do security groups that I mentioned. You would go to these security groups and specify the different rules. So for example, our VSI, if you click the VSI, you should see the information about the VSI itself, and you should be able to see which subnet and security group that you're using. So if we got this security group, we could add different rules to our security group. So we could go to manage, and so if you have your application running on specific ports, you would come in here and start assigning whatever port you want. And so yeah, that would be pretty easy if your application is using multiple ports. This is where you'd go ahead and use it. So for the purposes of this demo, since it's only demonstrating how you would create a VPC, create a VSI, and connect to it, that would be pretty much it. But yeah, there are a lot of things you can explore on VPC. You could do a lot of things. So I would suggest you go ahead and explore around and see what you can do with VPC. You can do pretty much anything. Jenna, that's it from my side. Thank you.
Okay, great. We're just getting Opamipo reconnected. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to share and get us started for part 2. Here we go. Okay. And okay. Thank you so much, Jordan. So we have some tutorial information for you here to go. So there's a demo for after setting up VPC, after you set up your IBM Virtual Private Cloud, and also some information here about using RabbitMQ packaged by Bitnami for IBM Cloud. So I've shared those resources in the chat as well, and they're also in the slides. So next, we're going to move on to our IBM Champions presentation on Watson Assistant. So OpenMapo, if you want to share, I'll share the first few slides while you get set up there. And if you want to get started and tell us a little bit about Watson Assistant, and I'll share your slides here. So I'll get started on our first few slides here while OpenMapo gets set up. Just want to check here. Okay. So our second demo is going to be on Watson Assistant. So for those of you who are not familiar, IBM Watson Assistant can do all kinds of things. So what it is best-in-class NLP that can quickly be trained to understand new topics in any language. And it only requires a handful of example sentences to train and learn. So it can understand any request. It can adapt to your domain. So it has deep learning models that automatically adapt to your business domain based on any intents you provide as training data. It knows when not to answer, so it will not respond to irrelevant words or phrases. It can recognize plain language responses. It won't ask redundant questions, and it handles natural conversation without breaking. So here is a little bit of information about how Watson Assistant works. Let me just check in here with OpenMeepo. Are you ready to demo your project?
How would let's talk about?
OpenMeepo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right, perfect.
Sure. So should I start right away?
Yeah, if you want to tell us a little bit about Watson Assistant, or if you want, you can share your screen and tell us a little bit about it, and then get into your demo too.
Yeah, sure. Before
Okay.
sharing my screen, I just want you all to know about IBM Watson Assistant. So what IBM Watson Assistant is, it means it's just a cognitive computing application or a cognitive computing platform that helps people get natural language and then processes it and gives it an answer based on what you've kind of imputed or whatever. I mean, okay, it just works on based on natural languages. You give the bot and then it replies based on the instruction it tells you to do. So that's what IBM Watson Assistant is. So I mean, IBM Watson is really large, and under IBM Watson, we've also got IBM Watson Assistant. We've got sentimental analysis. We've got IBM Watson Else, we've got IBM Watson Studio, we've got IBM Watson Speech to Text, we've got IBM Watson Text to Speech and the likes. We've got IBM Watson Cloud and I mean, there is a lot IBM Watson can be used for apart from IBM Watson Assistant. So here in this, what you can see on your screen tells you or shows you about what IBM Watson can actually do, or how it gets information on natural languages and then passes or sends information to the user of the chatbot or Watson Assistant. So you can actually see the built-in integrations here at first. We can actually see it can be integrated on Slack, web chat. We can see Intercom. We can see Messenger, Facebook Messenger. We can see Twilio. We can see Salesforce and the likes. So there is a lot IBM Watson can do, right? So it's custom integrations, it's tone analyzer, and also um, voice agent with Watson. So I mean, there is actually a lot, to be very honest. Watson can do. It just helps. I mean, IBM Watson Assistant just helps to get a natural language, and a natural language you've given the chatbot or assistant, which is called an intent, and then it gives you an information based on what you've imputed in the dialogue. So I'm going to be showing you a whole lot of this pretty soon. Okay, let me share my screen. Um, let's be doing this right away. Okay, right. So before all this, you need the IBM. You need your IBM cloud account. I mean, that's the basic thing you need. Before everything, you need an IBM cloud account. So everything you're going to be developing or everything you're going to be working on is going to be on a cloud account. And here is what I've done so far. And okay, here, let me check my services or software. So under this, we've got IBM Watson Assistant. So let me click the Watson Assistant and show you what it looks like. Yeah, so right, we've got this. We clicked on the IBM Watson Assistant and it's got this. And then let's get to launch the IBM Watson Assistant. Sure, we've got this. So we've got this. So here is a project I'm going to be showing you all. I'm going to be showing you all this project. Its name is Aurora, and it's an anti-cyberbullying project. Okay, it helps to get phrases or words, and then it sends an information to the user of the chatbot that whatever you're saying is inappropriate based on the phrases imputed. Okay, before then, I would love to show you all an example of how this works. So I integrated this as a web chat in my portfolio project, and you can see this here, right here in the right bottom corner of this project. And here is where the project is integrated in web chat. And then so I've got this. For example, here's how this project works. Let's just see view map. This is just for example. And then when it gets this, I think it waits for about 1 second to 2 seconds, and then it gives this. So what it just got here is this phrase. I mean the mad phrase here. So it just got the mad phrase, and then it gives this information. So it recognizes plain text. It recognizes violated text. Okay, for example, let me try something out. Now here is me using short word for this. You see this? So what it did here is just it recognized this word and crazy here, and then it gave the answer based on this crazy word. So this here is what I've imputed as intent, and this here, I mean the answer chatbot kit is based on dialogue, whatever. So it's just work of dialogue stuff. So in IBM Watson Assistant, two things we all know are really important is, or you really need to have, is your intent and dialogue. In your intent, okay, an intent is just to match a customer's goal, or yeah, we're going to see this here. So here are examples of intents I've created earlier. Okay, so here is this, for example, for insult, because this is an insult whatever project. It's an anti-cyberbullying project. So an intent is to match a customer's goal, like sorry, a customer's question or goal. So you can actually see this here. I created this project. By the way, I created this project just 2 months ago, and here it is. So you can actually see what I've imputed as intent for it to recognize the words people use here. So you see, I didn't just impute that crazy word. There are ways this thing works. So, okay, for example, um, like this is just for example. So this is based on an intent. I mean the insult intent, just as you can see here, and then here it is here, and then this is based on dialogue. And by the way, we're going to do check out what dialogue looks like right here. So it's actually interesting stuff to create stuff with IBM Watson. It's really interesting. Yes, so here it is. So if the assistant recognizes this intent, I mean this hash insult intent, this gives this. It gives all this. But I set it to a random form. It could give any of this answer, this, this, or this, or this, or this. But I think for this, this one here, it brought this. I mean, yes, it brought this. So we have three forms. We can actually give out answers. It's either you have the random form, sequential, or multi-line form, just as we can see here. So I actually set it to random form, so it can actually give random answers, not just a fixed answer. You understand? So that is what this project is all about. It's just pretty simple to use IBM Watson and actually fun. IBM Watson is really fun. So yeah, that is for IBM Watson. And very soon I can actually see something. Um, okay, I don't have a GitHub repo for this yet, but it's going to be out very soon. So I really love the fact that IBM Watson, I mean, the IBM team is really making things pretty much accessible for people who are trying to use Watson. It's really nice stuff. So you can actually type in something here. For example, okay, can I see you, for example? That's based on appearance, I guess. Just any stuff. So this is the fun stuff about it. Not to make it boring, but here it is. So actually this is based on an intent, like this appearance intent. Just because I said, can I see you? I think it just got the phrase C or something there. But then like, well, it gave this as an answer, and well, I really love the fact that IBM Watson doesn't just recognize this doesn't just recognize a sentence. It recognizes words, it recognizes plain text, it recognizes different stuff. I mean, it's really, really fun stuff to work with, to be very honest. I mean, I got to know about IBM Watson in 2019, but then I didn't really develop interest in it. But around 2020, I wrote an article on IBM Watson, and then I just kicked off my career with IBM Watson. It's really nice stuff, to be very honest. And there is a lot IBM Watson can do. It can help. I mean, even right here, not to even stress yourself, you could probably create a CSV file and then upload it, and it gives you multiple intent you want. I mean, a lot of intent. You could actually create more than 200 intents if possible. Yeah, there is a lot this can do, but just at first, have an IBM Cloud account before doing all this. So I guess that is all for this. So for integration, I would love to show you all something on this. IBM Watson integration. This I can actually see integration right here. So I'm currently working on WhatsApp integration with Twilio, and I've done the one for web chats, and really soon it's going to be out on GitHub. I mean, this project is going to be out on GitHub. Yes, so you could actually add integration, and then you get to see ways this can actually be integrated: web chat, phone, WhatsApp with Twilio, Slack, whatever, Facebook Messenger, SMS with Twilio, Intercom. You can probably integrate it on the custom application also. So far, I have done this for web chats. So it supports live agent integrations also with Genesis, Zendesk, Twilio, Salesforce, and the likes, I guess. So let's go check this out. My web chats integration. So not in much. There's not in much. This is just what you need. This embed and what you need. But then, like, probably if you want to give it a style, really possible. Just copy this. If you want yours, you could copy it and then use it on your website. Just add that piece of code, and then yeah, it's really easy stuff. Yeah. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining me in doing this. Yeah, thank you very much. It was really nice chatting with you all. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Open Meepo. That was amazing. Let me reshare. If there are there any questions or anything that anyone would like to add or ask, comments, questions, and that includes our other
Thank you
advocates
very
on the call
much.
as well.
Thank you. Yep.
So the Evan or Jordan, if you have any questions too, or if there's any questions for Jordan as well, if you'd like to ask or have anything you'd like to share. Got a few minutes left.
Excellent demo. Very, very impressive. Thank you all for attending as well. I'll let Jenna round out everything. I would not be doing a good job in sort of selling the advocacy if I didn't say that you can do this too, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were able to attend last night, that was the message that I wanted to encourage and let you all know that this is definitely something that's in your wheelhouse, even if you don't think it is. And so I'll stop rambling from here and turn it back over to Jenna. Again, thank you very much, and thank you so much for our advocates, our developer advocates federated, as well as our champion, our guest speaker, Mr. Opamio.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining. Just to share with you while we close out here, please feel free to fill out our survey. Let us know what you'd like to see. Maybe you're interested in joining the Champions program, which I posted some info for above. Maybe you're interested in joining our Champions program and you would like to get some mentorship and do a presentation yourself coming up. So as I mentioned, there is an enrollment process once a year. If you are interested in the Champions program, I'm pretty sure I posted the link there. I posted the link in the chat, and you can just look up IBM Champions in the just on any browser. So please feel free to give us some feedback. Let us know what you'd like to see. What products are you interested in? What coding languages are you building in? What areas of technology are you interested in, and what type of applications would you like to see demoed? What type of tutorials would you like to see? Are you more into e-commerce or streaming, or what type of applications would you like to learn how to build? We did have a workshop for Hacktoberfest where we built a very simple live streaming application with Python and Kafka, and we served it on IBM Event Streams and deployed it to Code Engine with our great one of our IBM partners, SIB Solutions, and we built a really cool application and had a real fun workshop. Also, as Evan mentioned, we did have our advocacy session yesterday. So actually, if on the top of your screen, there are 2 links in our series. So if you missed the first part of our series, you can go ahead, and I would encourage you all to check out our Black History Month edition of Using Advocacy and Champions Programs to Support Diversity All Year. We've got some really great insights and feedback on some experimentations that we've been doing over the past year or two, almost 2.5 now. So, and you can watch that at the playback at crowdcast.io/e/BHM22. And that'll be the first one. And as always, feel free to follow us on all of our IBM Developer social channels. We're on Meetup, lots of different Meetup locations. We're on Twitter, Twitch. We have an IBM Developer YouTube. We're also on Facebook for our live streams as well. And as always, if you have any questions or need any support, you can reach out to any of us. I've posted all of our contact information in the chat. And if you need to reach out to me, I'm at jwritten on all social. And you can contact me through my Linktree /jwritten. So again, thank you all so much for coming. And DJ Jenna is going to take you all out, and we will see you next time. So have a great rest of your night and an even better weekend.